You're listening to the Downshift podcast, where four mates from Melbourne take you trackside for all the action in Formula One, breaking down the races, the drama, and everything in between, all with a little banter and a lot of passion. If you love motorsport and cars, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you're always on the grid with us. And if you want to support the team, leave us a 5-star review. So let's get into another action-packed episode. It's lights out, drop the clutch, and let's get racing.
Welcome to the Downshift as four mates from down under talk about all things Formula One. And welcome to our episode, which is the Hungary preview, the Hungaroring in Hungary, obviously. We've got a circuit length of 4.381 kilometres, a bit shorter than last week. The first time this Grand Prix was run in 1986, so it seems like a fairly young track, actually. Got 70 laps, 306 kilometres, fastest lap time held by Lewis Hamilton, 1 minute 16.627 in 2020. So a bit of an old record there. The lack of straights at the Hungaroring often sees it compared to a karting circuit. And it's true. Looks like a fun little track to run around. Several series of corners to string together. Teams opt for Monaco levels of downforce and hopefully not Monaco levels of boredom. With the well-sorted chassis tending to the reward over horsepower given the short straights on offer. It's a challenge many of the drivers relish. However, with finding a good rhythm key to setting faster lap times. So, who wants to have a look at the 2024 review?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll kick into that because this was look, we saw a switch here as opposed to this year. The Hungarian Grand Prix followed Silverstone as opposed to where we've seen Spa follow Silverstone this year. And this is where Oscar Piastri secured his first career F1 victory, with his teammate Lando Norris finishing second, making McLaren's first 1-2 since 2021 at the Italian Grand Prix. But this wasn't without controversy. But Lewis Hamilton came in third, achieving his 200th career podium. So we saw Lando Norris take pole in the 2024 race, with Piastri in first, followed by Norris and Hamilton in third. Notably, we also had then Leclerc in fourth and Verstappen in fifth. And I mention that because we did see some tussling with both Max and Lewis at the tail end of the race. But look, this is where we started to see some of the tension forming in McLaren, as we had Lando Norris, obviously, with his eyes on the prize where he could have taken the World Championship for 2024. But we actually saw what could be described as team orders coming in from, well, they were team orders coming in from
team orders.
Yeah. Say, you don't have to describe it. They were team orders.
Pretty black and white, mate.
So, but look, after the start of the race, we saw this was where we were seeing drivers appealing over the radio for positions to be given back as drivers claimed the corner. At the start of the race, we saw Piastri, Norris, and Verstappen go 3 wide into the first corner, with Piastri taking the lead and Norris and Verstappen arguing over who had the right to second place, with Red Bull eventually conceding the position, much to Verstappen's disgust. We saw some battles between both Max and Lewis, but we'll get into that in a minute because I think, look, the most notable moments of the race was McLaren's team orders, where maybe you want to mention, jump into that?
Happy to provide a bit of a summary, but essentially during the race, Oscar got the lead. So usually when that happens, the lead driver then gets the preferential pit stop decision. They can pit first. The second driver would have to pit after them, etc. So Oscar had got the lead legitimately at the start of the race and was leading. But what happened then was Lando had to pit to cover off Lewis Hamilton because Hamilton had pitted, was at risk of overtaking Lando with the pit stop with an undercut. So they decided to pit Lando earlier. Oscar then came out behind him later on, but because it was a strategic pit stop, then the team asked Lando to give the position back to Oscar. Then ensued many radio calls between Lando, his engineer, Oscar querying what was going on, Lando being asked many times to give the position back and trying to argue the fact some of the comments he said to his engineer, well, shouldn't you have boxed him first then? They said it doesn't matter. And he said they kept asking him to change. His engineer said, this is going to get boring. You need to switch tyres. And Lando then saying, well, ask him to catch up, please. And I think this comment was my favourite. Lando, he can't catch you. You've proved your point, and it really doesn't matter. I'm trying to protect you, mate. I'm trying to protect you. Just remember every Sunday morning meeting we have. So eventually, I believe it was pretty much the last lap, Lando pulled over and gave him back the win. But yeah, definitely team orders. It's probably the first time we saw McLaren really do something like that. Lando did sort of prove a point. I think he still had some pace over Oscar in that scenario. But yeah, Oscar's first win, and probably it was probably around that time Lando started to feel a bit more pressure from Oscar as a teammate, because Oscar was starting to improve and getting closer to his pace.
Well, they didn't swap positions till lap 68. It was kind of very close to the end there before they actually did swap that position back around.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Lando had plenty of time to think about it, and he had built up a bit of a lead. He had good pace, and but yeah, pulled over and did the right thing for the team anyway.
Well, Christian, do you want to maybe talk about Max Verstappen and his little tete-a-tete towards the end of the race as well?
Yeah, so, and as I said, there was a bit of controversy in regards to both Max and Lewis, and we saw at lap 63, we had a collision between Max and Lewis, where Max jumped on the radio straight away saying that he moved under braking. And, you know, this was my favourite comment on the radio from GP, from his race engineer, where after Max jumped on the radio and said he moved under braking, GP actually got on and said, I'm not going to even get into a radio fight with the other teams, Max. We'll let the stewards do their thing. And my favourite bit was, it's childish on the radio. Childish.
He was putting that very well.
I think, and this is where they actually have a very good relationship, and, you know, understand each other. And what'll be interesting is we're not going to see GP at the Hungarian Grand Prix. He's actually off this weekend, so they'll have a different race engineer taking his place at the moment. But there is that understanding, and GP was actually able to put Max in his box just to say, "Shut up and race."
Yeah, stop trying it on, mate. That's yeah. Yeah. I think there must be something going on. GP hasn't been around for a few rounds now, so I don't know what's happening there. I haven't heard any news, but yeah, either he's not well
the last
or
few races, I thought.
He has, yeah. Hopefully he's okay.
Absolutely. And so as we look at getting into this year's race, as you were saying, Schwags, it is a karting type circuit. We've actually got 2 DRS zones on this track, one on the main straight and then a second one after the first corner before it starts to get into a twisty-turny or go-karty type track. It is a clockwise track, so you'll see a lot more degradation on the left-hand side of the car and the rear tyres for this. We haven't seen so we can actually see that there's a lot of traction on the track, so we'll be looking at probably more of a softer compound from Pirelli with the hope of potentially 2 pit stops on this race.
Well, compared to the Spa race where they actually had a space between the compounds, they only run to C3, 4 and 5. So you don't have that, gap between the compounds on the tyres. So they are definitely going for a softer compound for this track, hoping that they might then pick up an extra pit stop.
Yep, I think Pirelli are running the softest compounds, so the C3, C4 and C5. And yeah, it'll be interesting. High downforce track, so it'll be probably pretty much max downforce, and the track evolves quite a bit as well. So I think qualifying we'll see times improve. Drivers want to make sure they get laps in and get some good results on the board to get through.
So, Happy, you mentioned qualifying here, and you share with us, and I'll pop it up here, the graphic on the qualifying head-to-head so far for the 2025 season. How about you take us through that?
I certainly can. I saw this pop up the other day, and it was interesting. Some of these results I hadn't looked at actually since probably early in the season anyway, but the one at the top, Verstappen out qualifying his teammates, both of them, Lawson and Tsunoda, 13-0. We sort of expected that. For some reason, I thought Stroll had actually got ahead of Alonso a couple of times, but for Alonso to have beaten Stroll 13-0 is very impressive. And now Russell and Antonelli, I thought Antonelli might have been able to get a couple more up on George, but George is a proven performer, Mr. Saturday, they used to call him.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't used that term used this year, but he's still been very good. Gasly's strong. Hadjar's been great. Like we've talked about Hadjar as a rookie. But then as we go down the list, you guys might have some comments on this. It's much more even. And yeah, I think Albon and Sainz has been interesting. A lot of people predicted Sainz would come in maybe after 6 months, start showing Albon how to drive that car, but hasn't happened. But Bortoleto, I think, has outperformed. I think he's done really well in quali. And Ocon, Behrman, Piastri, Norris, very, very even teammates.
Yeah, Albon's having a good season so far, particularly, with Sainz coming to the team. I think he might have been expecting to maybe not be outperforming his teammate so much, but he's sort of feels like he's come of age a bit, Albon, like he's just sort of really getting into his groove and doing well in that car.
I think it says a lot about Sainz and a lot about Albon too, because Albon smashed all his teammates for the past number of seasons, but Sainz is the first one who's come up and has been close to matching him. And don't forget, this is after the first half of the season, and Sainz is getting used to a new team, new car, new philosophy for car setup and whatever. So Sainz has done well, but obviously Albon is a very, very good driver as well.
I think you also have to look at Bortoleto and Hulkenberg too. The fact that Bortoleto has knocked off Hulkenberg, and Hulkenberg's done however many, hundreds extra GPs. I think Bortoleto's actually really standing head and shoulders and saying, I'm here, like I can drive.
Yeah, he's done very well. Yeah. Especially, this is only quality. This is not race results, but to be able to, for raw speed, we're looking at here and getting the most out of their car package. Yeah, he's done really well.
I think also you look at this where the drivers are challenging each other, where you've got a clear leader in regards to Verstappen, Alonso, and even Russell. As you look at Williams has had their best performance in a very long time. So you've got, I think, Sainz, who is lifting Albon even further. And to your point, Happy, Albon has smashed every other driver he's been up against in recent history. So it's lifting the water level of the team. We're seeing that with Sauber. I mean, Sauber is sitting in, sixth position at the moment. So, again, great result for them. So you're seeing a rookie in Bortoleto who's being developed and pushed by Hulkenberg. And then, Norris and Piastri, who are leading the championship at 7-6. There's a hair between the two of them.
Yep. And look, Behrman as well. Like, he's only one quality result behind Ocon, who's been driving forever. So Behrman's done very, very well also. But yeah, I think the disappointing parts of this are obviously Colapinto and Doohan just haven't been able to perform in Alpine. I don't know what's going to happen with Colapinto, whether they keep running him or not.
Rumour is he's not very safe.
No one is in Formula One, by the looks of it. No, just ask Christian Horner. I thought it was ironic that he got booted halfway through the season as well, actually. But anyway. But yeah, Tsunoda, hopefully with the upgrades that Tsunoda's been starting to get, that only Max has had up until now, that we might see a bit more out of Tsunoda, but very, very difficult going up against probably the best driver in the world, Max Verstappen, just to get, even if you got a couple, even if you had one round in the last half of the season where you out-qualified Max Verstappen on raw pace, I'd be amazed. It would be a massive win. So good luck, Yuki.
I don't think the team actually expects him to out-qualify him. As long as he was within a couple of spots of him, I think they'd be happy with that. And not only qualifying, but actually in the race. I don't think they actually expect Tsunoda to actually out-drive Verstappen.
Just, like if Max is going to finish second, third or fourth, which is probably what they're hoping for, they just want Yuki to finish 4th to 10th, somewhere in there, just to start picking up some manufacturer points. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. And Antonelli as well, obviously.
Yeah, indeed. And looking at the championship is that we've got 28 points difference between Ferrari and Mercedes and 28 points between Mercedes and Red Bull. So getting that second driver to get up there could make the difference between third and second for these teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's not really a strict correlation between, Oscar and Norris. The bottom three teams on that list are very even, but that's not necessarily meaning that they're just outperforming each other in quality head-to-head. They're not actually It doesn't sort of mean, if you've got two drivers that are, up and down on each other or whatever, head-to-head, then you're going to have a good team result, because that's not how it's it's not relating.
It's not race results.
Yeah, like Antonelli's he scored a reasonable number of points, even though he's only out-qualified Russell once. But, as far as consistency goes in the race, that's what you want as a team. And you've got Hamilton and Leclerc, who are two solid drivers, obviously both doing reasonably well in that car and scoring consistent points every weekend, which is why they're second in the championship.
So, look, acknowledgement to Formula1dashboard.com, where we got the graphic from. Some great information for people to be able to see there. So, as we come into this race for 2024, thoughts in regards to how this race is going to fall out, given the result of Spa and now coming into the last race before we get into the summer break. I think there's an opportunity for us to jump into our predictions.
I have a great fear with this race that it's going to be like Monaco, where once you go round, it'll be like a procession of cars because the lack of opportunity to overtake on this one. So I'm really hoping I'm wrong, but otherwise it could be just let's follow the leader and go around the track.
Yeah, could depend a bit on weather. I think it's supposed to be quite warm, but they'd forecast showers for Sunday, although our forecast we're sort of 6 days away, so we don't know how that'll turn out. But yeah, we know a bit of rain will spice things up for sure. But if it's a warm track on a clear day, then qualifying position is going to be very important.
It's a great track for McLaren. I mean, this suits McLaren's setup. To your point, Happy, if it is hot, Mercedes will struggle with that with the heat. They still don't seem to have got the tyre cooling down pat for this. So we would see Mercedes struggling with that result.
Well, I just hope it's not a wet track so we don't sort of see Martin Brundle struggle to fill in an hour and a half of free time.
And I'd like to go to bed before 3 o'clock in the morning as well, if that helps. So, that would be
Highly
good.
overrated.
As long as we've got Nico to ask some hard questions, that'll be.
Yeah. We might actually find out what happened at Red Bull.
Not this week. If you want, I can jump in and do my predictions first if you want.
Absolutely, sure. Lockie. Over to you.
Okay. So based on, my extreme knowledge, I thought I'd throw it in there. I think based on the results from last weekend, I am going to go Oscar for pole. I am going to go Oscar for the win, Lando for second, and Charles to come in third based on his performance last year on this track.
Okay. And look,
so
I
same
can't...
as last weekend for the pole position.
No, except for pole, I swapped that around.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that you quickly jumped in first, Lockie, because I know you put your predictions into the spreadsheet after mine.
There is no evidence of that at all, Christian. Have we got a lawyer here for slander?
Insider trading?
But we do have a different poll. So I from my perspective is I do see that I think Lando will actually take the pole for this race. Similar to what we saw in Belgium is I'm looking at Oscar taking the win, followed by Lando and Charles. So first, second and third for us is the same.
I feel like you're copying me here, Christian.
Well, we will never know, will we? All right, so before we get into the Magic Hat, Happy, your thoughts in regards to the outcome for this race?
Pretty much sticking with my top two at least. So Oscar for pole, Oscar for the win, Lando for second. And yeah, looking at how the Ferrari's been performing with Charlie driving it, I'm going to go Leclerc for third as well. Had thought about George Russell, but I just if it's going to be hot, I don't like the way that car performs in the heat. So I think
I'd like you to change that because I
Charles
can't gain
as well.
any points if you put that particular selection down.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that.
So just putting it out there, do you see any races this year where Oscar's not going to win? Like it's easy to cut and paste in the spreadsheet at least.
Consistency is the key,
probably
Dan. Consistency.
Probably Melbourne.
Probably Melbourne.
We'll see. Things may change.
Things may change.
But Schwags, this lines this up perfectly. I mean, so you've got all three of us agreeing on first, second, and third, and
this is your chance to catapult some points here.
Wouldn't it be ironic? Yeah. There'll be a major.
You could actually. Well, how many points have we got in this? I mean,
imagine if I actually pull out the same
7 points on offer
that you all picked. All right. Anyway, let's get into this. Haven't got all night to do this. All right. So pole position is going to be Max Verstappen.
That's okay. Max, yep.
Max always pulls it out of the hat.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But now, before we get into this, have you made any alterations to your lineup in the hat?
No, Esteban and Isaac are still out. I've left Alex in. The regular cohort's still there. So it's affected the top 8. I think I haven't.
Top 8. Okay.
That's a shame for Bet to run with. We're okay with that.
Right.
Look, yeah, I think a few weeks ago I pulled out one and I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work. So I've had to modify the system slightly
Surprised
with everyone
Hulkenberg's not in there, but that's okay.
you were never going to get, we're never going to get Hulkenberg. All right, so the winner is going to be, yikes, Charles Leclerc. So that's
Well, he did
fairly
really well last year,
unlikely.
so,
he hasn't got the car to do it, though. He's
both
struggling.
McLarens could crash
But-
out. You don't know.
If
They've got the suspension set up.
it's in the first place on lap 1, turn 1, there's half a chance.
He's got to beat Max, which he won.
Yeah, because Max has got pole, so yeah.
Yeah,
so
that's right,
George
sorry.
is going to come second.
Okay.
That could be a struggle, but okay.
That will be.
We might have a cold snap.
Look, I'm not gonna say I'm confident in these predictions, but what else are you gonna do? And then and Lando Norris for third, no Oscar. So
Right.
sorry about that.
No,
Well,
Yeah.
no,
Do
no
you want me to
Aussie
lend you
bias
the magic
here.
8 ball for next week, Dan? Maybe that might
Lando
come in
top
handy.
3.
I might get a point. I mean, he has to finish third, doesn't he?
Ask the magic 8 ball if Dan is likely to get any points this weekend.
Have you got that, Lockie?
Seems unlikely.
Well, look, to be fair, I think that the Magic Hat would have said the same.
Have you got a sticker in there that says, seems unlikely?
I should put them, yeah. I might actually put like a free choice one in there, anyway.
Oh, Joker.
A Joker.
Joker.
Yeah, actually, the Joker
Yeah.
might be, I might have to tweak the system slightly.
Yeah, I think you could do that, Dan. Just
Uh,
highlight it yellow so you know which one to pull out. That'll work out well.
Yeah. If you get 3 Jokers in a row, it's a bit awkward, isn't it?
Not rigged at all.
Not rigged at all, no.
So with that, as I was saying, it is the final race before the summer break, which leads us into what is affectionately known as silly season. We have seen a little bit of silliness beforehand with rumours of Max going elsewhere, George's contract in the wind, and we did see the departure of Christian Horner from Red Bull. So who knows what the silly season has in store for us this year. We will be covering that as we go through the 3-week break, or 4-week break almost. But until then, make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next lap. And that's the checkered flag for this episode of The Downshift. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out with us in the paddock. If you enjoyed the ride, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss a lap. And hey, if we've earned it, drop us a 5-star review. It really helps us climb the grid and reach more motorsport fans. Tune in next time as we keep pushing flat out to bring you fresh, current and entertaining content. Until next time, keep it fast, keep it fun, and we'll catch you on the next lap.